great basketball.
Defender to the basket, JAYSON TATUM.
Be covering pre and post game back on this channel.
How's it going, everybody? Oh, Jack, I think your camera's off, my man. There it is. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back into Celtics Postgame Live. I am your host, Rob Haytan. Join with me, my two co-hosts, Justin Lowe, Jack Bienvenu, Ian Angelo, joining us shortly. The Celtics, man, oh man. Celtics get kind of embarrassed on the road in the nation's capital, 130-111. JAYSON TATUM was your player spotlight, your leading scorer tonight. JT had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 11 for 19 shooting on the day. I mean, not the worst performance from JT. I thought he honestly looked pretty solid. I mean, everyone kind of just looked a little lethargic out there, kind of settling for threes. Your stereotypical trap game. You got Milwaukee up next. Kind of a shame, takes us out of the 1 seed. I'm not freaking out over this, quite frankly. It's a bad loss, but end of the day, it's a loss that you can't overreact. It's a long season. Justin, start us off. Your thoughts, your takeaways on tonight's loss.
Yeah, I just thought tonight was one of those types of games. Am I good?
No, you're good. Sorry.
I thought tonight was just one of those types of games where I kind of called it from this morning. I'm not going to lie. This was a game that the Celtics were destined to lose against a sub 500 team without their two best players who are clearly tanking. And, they're kind of falling out of that play-in tournament race. But this comes at the same time as, unfortunately, I don't want to, be so negative, but this loss very much could have just put Boston out of that race for the number 1 seed as Milwaukee sees Indiana tomorrow, which I would bank on Milwaukee beating Indiana. Frustrating, but like I said, I'm not going to overreact to this. There was a lot of miscues. Everything that went wrong with the Celtics, I sat there and I said, this is it right here. I mean, the amount of second chance opportunities that we allowed Washington to get tonight was very frustrating. We didn't put any pressure on the ball, which is very unlike the Celtics defense. Even though we're not the same defensive team as last year, we're still a solid defensive team. I thought we just chucked up a lot of shots. Again, we talk about the difference on the show about generating good shots and just taking random shots. Celtics took a lot of random shots tonight and they didn't fall. And can't blame the refs. I mean, people are starting to blame the officials. I mean, there were some, questionable no calls and some questionable calls, but that has nothing to do with why the Celtics lost this game tonight. This was just a game the Celtics needed. They wanted that first seed, but clearly they didn't want it enough.
Yeah, so I have one thing to say because I have to leave. This is just another case of the Celtics playing down to their competition. We say it's a joke when it's like, oh, the Celtics don't know how to beat bad teams. Well, is it because they just don't play to their expectations when they play a team that's not as good as them? I mean, it just feels like, they've had so many chances this season to get the 1 seed and to keep the 1 seed. And let's be honest here. If you don't lose to Orlando, if you don't lose to Houston, if you don't lose to OKC, getting blown out by allowing 150 points to OKC, you would probably still have the 1 seed right now. And it's just kind of one of those things where, it really feels like they didn't really want the 1 seed because they were talking about it, how they really wanted the 1 seed. I guess that was a lie. Yeah, it was a frustrating game. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even watch most of it. Just watching the last, quarter and a half was probably all I needed to see to understand why they were getting blown out by the Wizards. So I have to go. I will see you guys later. But Thursday is the biggest game of the season, although it doesn't really feel like it matters as much as it probably would have if they won tonight. But I will see you guys later.
I'll see you. So Ian brings up a couple good points. One of which, so essentially 3 losses to Orlando, losses in Oklahoma, Houston, Utah, and Washington, a 28 point blown loss to Brooklyn, and a home loss to Phoenix is essentially the group of bad losses playing down to our opponents we had this year. And it cost us the 1 seed. But I mean, like, Jack, are we like, I'm not freaking out over this. I mean, I'm not gonna spiral into the fire Missoula trade the J like I'm not doing that. If you're doing that, like, enough of that. I still think Milwaukee's a big game. Like I still think the Bucks is the biggest game of the season. It's playoff time. It's a battle of the best teams in the league, right? It sets a tone if you beat the Bucks on their home court heading into the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I still think it is the biggest game of the year. I mean, I think it is. I mean, if you can beat the 1 seed, you're not too far off. And, I mean, if you can beat them on their home court, I mean, Giannis plays his best basketball against the Celtics. But this loss is a little concerning to me because, I mean, we were fully healthy tonight, man. And it's just, I don't know if these guys were partying with Bradley Beal last night or something, but, like, I don't know, man. Like, the defense was just concerning, like a lot. Like, the Kings, the Wizards put up 130 points on us without Bradley Beal or Kuz. Like, probably their 2 best scorers, dude. How much do you guys think they would have scored if they had those guys? Like, Jesus, that's just.
Celtics would have played. Well, Celtics would have played better.
Yeah, they probably would have won if they had Beal and Kuz, right? It's just there were so many, like, I think Scal even brought it up in the broadcast. It was just the Wizards had, like, multiple plays where they just ran through the paint, like, with ease. It looks like I could score out there in the Celtics tonight. They just ran through the paint and laid it up, and the Celtics just, like, watched them like, oh, shit, what's up, man? They're like, it's just, like, it was just not a good win. Or
Definitely wasn't a good win.
Let's get to let's move this train. Get to Ryan here.
You're muted.
You're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh no.
No. Yo, what's going on tonight, man?
It's just one of those nights, nah.
It's just one of those nights. This is like when Seamus used to join the post.
Yeah, there's always
he was always muted.
Yeah. All right. Well, no, nothing yet. Keep going. All right.
Just
well,
figure it out. You're good.
Yeah. Just jump in whenever you think you got it.
Wow. What a horrible night.
Jesus, man.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the 1 seed is not up for grabs anymore, I'll tell you that right now. Miami's getting spiked right now by the Raptors. So,
Yo.
all right,
Here
there
you
we go. All right, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. All right. So I have one concerning thing, and it's the defense for me. I don't understand really what happened. Like, where did we lose something on the defensive end? Last season, we weren't in these types of games where we're letting up 130 points. We didn't get blown out the entire second half of the season. If you go back and look, there were very few games that were over like a single-digit loss. And it was like these teams, like the Celtics, just couldn't score last year. And that's why these teams were winning, and they were only putting up 105, 110 points max when they were losing. And I just don't understand. I just really hope it tightens up as the playoffs come soon. I mean, these last 8 games of the season, I think are big for our defense to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the definition. This is like, I mean, it's the definition of a trap game. You come off with our point differential over the last 3 games was 30.5 points. You were scoring 140 while holding your opposing team to under 100. And then you come out, you got a game against Milwaukee on Tuesday. You're like, you were just at the White House. Like, obviously it was disturbing. Like, I'm on Twitter and that's what everyone's saying. Disturbing loss, right? But like at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit here and the Wizards aren't going to be in the playoffs, and teams like the Thunder aren't going to be in the playoffs. And we have shown no signs of or the Thunder actually might be. The Thunder might be in the playoffs. I'm sorry.
There you go.
But like, these teams that we've been losing to, the Magic, the Rockets, right? There we go. They're not going to be in the playoffs, and that's where our problems have lied. And I don't think that's a problem personally that I look at and I'm like, oh my God, we play down to our opponents. Sure, it sucks because it's going to cost us the 1 seed. But I mean, come on. Like, a loss against the Wizards doesn't move the needle for me. I still think this is a championship team. I still think you can win with Joe Mazzulla as your head coach. I still think all of these things. And I think it's really important as Celtics fans to just pump the brakes on this whole, claiming we're the best team in the league when we win, yet when we lose, it's the coach sucks and Brown sucks and Tatum sucks. It's like, I'm done with it. I'm sick and tired of listening to Celtics fans freak out after every goddamn loss. Like, it happens. It's a long season. It hadn't happened to us yet. And it was, if you were to go the whole year without getting blown out to like, come on. Like, even the Golden State Warriors dropped games that they should have won back in those Kevin Durant days. Like, it's a long season, and you have to pump the brakes. Let's look at the remaining schedule, though. Let's look at the future here for the Celtics. Obviously, to Thursday night, March 30th, they're going to be in Milwaukee for what is still the biggest game of the season. Following that, back-to-back, we're going to be at home against Utah. Then we got a little 4-day break. We're going to fly out to Philly and then finish things off, which I think is going to be great for us, with a 3-game homestand at home before the playoffs eventually kick off the 15th of April, I believe. We got the Raptors twice and the Hawks part of that. Let's take a look. Although it doesn't really matter much, you got obviously Milwaukee plays us and the Sixers, and they got a game against Memphis, which you could probably circle in your calendar. And then let's look over at Philly. They actually kind of have a tough go about it. They got the Mavericks tomorrow night, and then they got the Bucks and the Celtics, and then they got the Heat. That little 3-game stretch could get a little ugly for Philly. Philly kind of out of the little race here for the 2 seed. They're not going to get the 1 seed. Philly also has dropped some big games here.
I have 2 things. Can I say 2 things really quick about this right here? Yeah. So look at Philly. Look at Philly right now, and I know we do have them race to the top, but you have to start to look at it. And I don't have the standings pulled up, but you have to start to look at Philly's been dropping a few games. The Cavs have been winning a few games, so they could actually Philly has to be worried about even bumping down to that 4 seed rather than going up to that 2 or 1 seed. So that's something to look at. And then look at our schedule, guys. Milwaukee, potential ECF matchup. Sixers, potential semifinals matchup. Raptors twice and Hawks once, potential first-round matchups. Like, I get Celtics might be resting their players in a few of these games here, but there's some serious potential playoff implications, not only for seeding purposes, but we might see what 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the last 6 games are opponents that we are probably going to see in the playoffs. So those are also big games. And go ahead and talk about JB that you were going to talk about, Rob.
Yeah, obviously JB had a rough go about it tonight. However, that does not mean he has not been playing some phenomenal basketball. JB was awarded Eastern Conference Player of the Week, an award just yesterday, I believe. He had 31.7 points or 32 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. JB been doing his thing. Guys, like, how important, I'm trying to word this with, like, we've seen recently Brown has been picking up the slack when Tatum's gone. We haven't seen in the past month or so these 2 guys be on the same page. Obviously, we'll get on the same page. Are there any worries that maybe they won't? I mean, I'm not saying they won't, but like, it kind of feels like Brown has a good game, Tatum has a bad game. Tatum has a good game, Brown has a bad game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of like, it's like.
Yeah, but Tatum has been in a funk, and he's finally starting to get out of it. And to be fair, JB had a monstrous game against the Spurs. Jason Tatum didn't even suit up in that game. Tonight was just, nobody really had a great night. Like, nobody had a spectacular night. Like, Al Horford was off. Even Robert Williams was off. Jaylen Brown was off. Tatum was really the only one who got going. Maybe Marcus Smart hit a few threes, but like nobody stuck out tonight for the Celtics. So I get what you're saying. I get it, but I think they'll figure it out. And I think this Bucks game will be a wake up call for the Celtics. I know the Celtics have won 7 of their last 9 games, now 7 of their last 10 games. But at the same time, we have to sit here and look. As I mentioned, the rest of the schedule are against potential teams that we're going to meet in the playoffs. The Bucks in the conference finals, the Sixers in the second round, potentially the Raptors and or Hawks in the first round. So these are all matchups where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're going to want to get minutes and they're going to want to play up to their potential. And, we'll have to find out Thursday night to see what these guys are made of, because even though we might not get that 1 seed, it would be one hell of a huge win if the Celtics go into Milwaukee and go in and come out with the W.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the Milwaukee game is just really gonna mark like where this team is. Like, and this final stretch, even like you said, Justin, all these teams that we're gonna see for the rest of the season are playoff teams. So no easy stretch by the slightest. And one other team I really would rather not see in the playoffs is Cleveland. Like, if somehow they can get that like 3 seed and maybe meet us in the conference finals, I don't know how that would all work, but
meet them in the second round.
Yeah, excuse me. But God, that would suck. Like having to go like that might go 6, or I can even see it going 7. I'm not gonna lie, because they match up with us just so well, and that would just suck to have to play Cleveland like 6-7 games, and then you'll probably have to go at least 6 with Milwaukee, and then you see the same thing we saw last year. These guys might get burned out if we have to run.
Milwaukee's saying the same thing you're saying. I don't think Bucks want to see Cleveland second round. I think they'd much rather see Philly.
I don't think anyone wants to see Cleveland.
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Right, and I don't mean to keep looking over Philly, but I do think the Celtics on paper and what we see on the court, I think this 3-0 series lead is not a joke. I think the Celtics are significantly better than the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think that's an argument, and I don't think Philadelphia is willing to argue that right now at all either. But you're right, Jack. I think the Cavaliers are the dark horse. And I think them slotted at 4 helps Boston out a lot, because say Boston gets out of the first round, say Celtics get by Philly, and they have to meet either Milwaukee or Cleveland in the conference finals. Say it is Milwaukee. They're definitely, that series is going with 6 or 7 against the Cavaliers. They ain't sweeping them, and they're not beating them in 5. Like, that's going to be a tough series for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think as a Celtics fan, you'd love to see the standings, I guess, stay how they are. You'd love for the Celtics to bump up to 1, but obviously that's highly unlikely. And if you're going to be realistic, the standings how they are right now is how you would want them if you're a Celtics fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean,
Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is Tingus Pingus? I never heard of fucking Latvia.
I'm sorry, it just had to happen. We got to talk about Tingus Pingus, Kristaps Porzingis tonight. He was, listen, we don't really talk about guys on the other team quite a lot, right? We don't really have segments about them, but we got to give Tingus Pingus his love. 32 points, 13 rebounds, 10 of 16 shooting from the floor. Guys, he had Smart guarding him a majority of the game. Obviously, a guy like Kristaps is a kind of a sort of player that we could see coming up here in the playoffs. A guy like, like Evan Mobley, kind of Joel Embiid, where Embiid's much more dominant, but he spaces the floor, plays much more in the paint. Is Smart the guy to match up on your big man? We saw a lot of Smart, and Smart really wasn't. Porzingis was having his way down low in the paint, or are you going to look for a guy like Al Horford, a guy like Robert Williams to step up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what the hell that was about. I really don't agree with that. I mean, he's like.
I mean, we've seen it before with Marcus. Yeah, we've seen Marcus match up before.
It's just like, I'm fine with it off a switch or something. Like, I'm fine if Marcus just ends up on Kristaps. Like, I'm not uncomfortable with that matchup. But it's not like a set matchup. I'd rather have like Rob even. I think I'd rather have Rob on him. And I know I don't know. It's tough.
So the thing is with Rob is Kristaps can stretch the floor, and
Yeah.
with Rob, he's such a defensive anchor down in the post that you want to keep him
Yeah.
down low.
I
But
guess
the thing
Al-
is, yeah, but like the thing is Marcus is easily the most physical guy on the team.
For
I
sure.
think
I
that's
agree.
no question, and I think that's what it was tonight. I think that, and again, I'm not going to go ahead and blame the officials. I'm not using that as an excuse, so please don't say I am. I think the calls were inconsistent in terms of one play they let Marcus, they let Marcus be physical. The next play it was totally different, and they call a foul. I think that messes the game up a lot. I'm not saying that again. I'm not saying that's why we lost, but I think that also made it hard to guard tonight because that's just the type of game it was. One possession, it was a very very physical game, and then the next possession, if you breathed on a guy, they called a foul either way. So that's just the type of game it is. But I tweeted this during the game tonight, and I found it really odd. It was like Celtics are having more trouble against Kristaps Porzingis than they do against Joel Embiid. I don't know if that's because the whole playing down to your competition thing. And we know Porzingis is a very good center in this league. But at the same time, he's not on the level of a Jokic or an Embiid or even throwing a Giannis if you want to, throw him in there. So I don't know. It was a really weird thing tonight, and he really torched the Celtics. You do have to give him credit.
He did.
Yeah,
The
well,
big thing, sorry,
you go
Rob.
ahead, Jack. No, you're good. You go ahead.
The big thing with me was like with the Smart matchup, it was just I felt like Porzingis could just shoot right over him. I mean, I don't know if it was against Smart or Al. It might have been Al, but one possession, he was literally going.
It was Brown.
It was like, was it? Well, who was it?
It was top of the key.
Top of the key.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was Jaylen Brown. It was Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, okay. But anyways, yeah, that's why I'd just rather a bigger guy on it because he was like, it's like you were like glitching in 2K. He was like pump fake, pump fake, pump fake, pump fake. He pumped like 4 times and then finally just shot it right over him. And yeah, went and drilled that thing. So yeah, I mean, I get the whole spin. I mean, I wouldn't mind Al on him or I don't know.
Yeah, I like Marcus against more physical big men. I think Marcus against Embiid is really like a matchup I like at times because Embiid's going to want to play physical and Smart's going to want to play physical. But I don't think Porzingis is a guy that's going to look to really get into your body much. I think he's kind of looking to create and find space, whether that's posting up, stretching the floor. He's looking for the open space on the court rather than a guy like Embiid or even like Jared Allen or Evan Mobley are kind of looking more to go through you rather than around you. So personally, I would have gone to Al tonight for that matchup. But Mazzulla went with Smart, which at the same time, Smart is up for the matchup. Usually it was an off night for the Celtics, so I don't hate it. Or do I love it? But like I said, it's a game for me personally. You just live with it. You're not going to be seeing the Wizards in the playoffs. And like I said, there has been no games this year against the top dogs that have had me concerned. With that being said, we do have to look at who we should be ready to look at or potentially look at in the first round of the playoffs. As you can see here, the first round current opponent odds. Unfortunately, the Miami Heat sit on top of this list at 34%, followed by the Atlanta Hawks there at 21%, the Chicago Bulls at 17%, the Raptors at 14%, the Nets at 10%, and then the New York Knicks down there with a slim 3% chance. I wouldn't even entertain the idea of a New York Knicks Celtics first round matchup. I don't see that happening unless Boston somehow falls to 4, which God forbid that. I'm not even going to think about that. But guys, Miami, a team we've seen quite often in the playoffs, a team that plays for the playoffs. We have seen them. They're kind of been hit or miss. The bubble year, they were a big time hit. They took down the Bucks in 4 games, took down us in 6 games. The following year, they got swept, I believe, in the first round to Milwaukee. And then last year, 2022, they had their crazy successful season. They were the 1 seed coming into the playoffs. Took us to a game 7. Jimmy Butler obviously did his thing, game 6 in Boston, and was really 1 shot away from the Heat punching their ticket to the NBA Finals. Justin, Are you worried at all that we could potentially see the Miami Heat in the first round, or do you think the Celtics can handle them pretty easily?
I'm not going to say easily because here's the thing: Miami, no matter what seed they're going to be, whether the 1 seed or the 7th seed, they are an extremely talented team. They have Bam, they have Tyler Hero, who is I guess flourished in his role. They brought in vet Kevin Love. I don't know how much he's going to do, but he is going to space out the floor very, very well. Don't forget they're also missing a big piece that actually gave Boston hell last year, and that's PJ Tucker. I know he's with Philly now, which Boston will probably see second round if they get past a team like Miami. But I think Boston is going to handle them. I think. Look, again, Miami always has given Boston trouble. It doesn't matter if Miami's the 1 seed, Miami's the 8th seed. They're going to give the Celtics trouble. Boston, this series has home court advantage, and I think it's going to be a kind of feeling out series, I guess, for the Celtics. I think start off against great competition, I guess, in terms of the teams that you're looking at between Miami, Atlanta, and who is it? Chicago. I guess Miami is the best team out of those three, and an Eastern Conference Finals rematch in the first round is something you don't see often, but that's something you're probably going to see this year. And then Eric Spoelstra, you got to give him credit. God bless. Jesus Christ.
I should have.
What the Oh my God.
Over here. 3.
You scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, bro. I was like, what the?
I meant to mute it, but I missed the fucking button.
Where even were we?
That was the most Jack thing I've ever seen.
Bro,
All right.
office clip.
All right.
All right, let's go.
All right. Listen, so the thing is you have to give Coach Eric Spoelstra credit too. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. So I think that's something you run into in a rookie head coach of Joe Mazzulla and not so much experience in the head coaching position, especially in the postseason. So that's something you need to look at as well. But hey, starting off against Miami, that's a tough path. Miami, Philly, Milwaukee, and then you're going to see a team potentially like a Jokic or a Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals. That's really tough for the Celtics, but they can do it.
For sure. I think Justin, stop. But I think
What do you think?
What do you think, dude?
I think I think Miami would probably take one on us. I ain't like as scared of Miami as I had been previous years, and I mean, I get they play us well. I think they will get a game. Jimmy Butler's always going to have that game where he just kills us. Like, he'll go off, and then he's going to hit the game winner. I already know it's going to happen once. So I think we can beat them in 5. I think that's really, really doable. And then I love that. I mean, have a short series going into the second round. Who knows? Maybe the other guys play 7, catch them a little tired. So, yeah, I think I'm comfortable with any first round matchup. I think I'm more – I mean, it's weird to say, but I feel like I'm like more scared to play one of these first round teams than I am Philly.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I think like
but I'm comfortable.
The thing with Miami, I don't think we'll lose to Miami by any means necessary. I do think that there's like the slim chance, or not slim. There's that very big possibility that they just extend. They're the extenders. I feel like they're just gonna drag the series out. I think there's that possibility, that thing goes 6 or maybe 7. Right? I don't think it would ever go 7, but I could see like a 6-game really competitive series against the Heat in the first round. I honestly agree. I think for some reason, I think it's mentally, we handle Philly much easier. I think Philly doesn't. We've talked about this. I don't think Philly thinks they can beat us. And then a point I want to get to, that's not about the first round. It's about actually the Eastern Conference Finals. And all these teams are saying, you need home court. Guys, you got to stop, man.
I can't look at the screen without him freaking smiling or laughing at me.
All right, what I was saying, everyone's talking about, God, what am I trying? All right. Last year, Celtics went into the Eastern Conference Finals as the 2 seed and went into Miami for a Game 7 and handled them on the road. They took care of business and did it in a Game 7 on the road as the 2 seed. Do I think Milwaukee's a better team than Miami was last year? For sure. But do I think the Celtics are a much better team than the Celtics were last year? Absolutely. So I think that this idea that the Celtics, if they don't have the 1 seed, there's going to be a Game 7 in Milwaukee and the Celtics are going to lose it. I don't think that's the proper narrative to have. I would prefer if there is a Game 7 for it to be in Boston, but I still like our chances, even if it's in Milwaukee. I do think that's a winnable game for the Celtics. Something else I'd like to bring up as well. The Celtics, I think I have 2 real worries about this team. One of which is being their 3-point tendencies. I think they shoot the 3 too much. And I have, historically speaking, we have seen teams that shoot a lot of 3s. They live and die by the 3. They usually die. They never really live. The Rockets, the Suns, we've seen it before. Really only Golden State, but Golden State didn't really die by the 3. They kind of just, Steph Curry is generational. However, my other concern, I don't think this Celtics team responds as well as last year's team did. The Celtics never lost 2 straight games in the playoffs last year. They won 4 straight against the Nets, and then the second round against the Bucks, they lost Game 1, won Game 2, lost Game 3, won Game 4, lost Game 5, won Game 6, and then won Game 7. And same thing in Miami. They lost Game 1, won Game 2, won Game 3. It goes right back and forth. And I don't think the Celtics respond as well. I could see us going down 2-0, or I can see that happening. And I think that's where my concerns come in, because last year, series tied, or down in the series 2-1 coming back to Boston. I'm like, all right, the finals, that was the scenario. All right, well, down 0-1 going on the road, right? I knew we were winning that game because we responded so well. I don't think we respond to adversity as well this year. We kind of look like we fold sometimes. So we'll see. The playoffs are a different beast. This team has still been great over the course of 76 games. So, we'll see. We'll just have to wait.
Yeah. I think the thing is it sucks because I really want to see this team string together consistent basketball, and we saw that the last 3 games, and it sucks that this was the game. Like you would have figured, if you dropped one to the Bucks, you would have figured like, okay, Milwaukee's a great team. It's a tough loss. We played hard. We're gonna meet them in the conference finals. Like, it would have been that. Like, that would have been a heartbreaking loss, but it would have been, okay, we lost to a good team. Instead, it comes against a tanking Washington Wizards, who Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford, one of their starting big man, was out too, or the power forward, whatever he is, was out too. So there's 3 key guys out for the Wizards, and they handled us with 0 issues. I mean, there were 0 issues. The only issue they had was Peyton Pritchard coming in with 9 minutes left and cut it down to 12. And I think tonight was not a concerning loss. I think it was more of like a depressing loss in terms of
just
like
disappointing.
Like a knee, like damn, like you slap your knee and like damn, I thought like we really, like we really were back. But instead it was just a draining loss. And I don't know if Boston just forgot that we had to go to Washington before flying out to Milwaukee, because that's what it felt like. I mean, the Celtics had no energy from the tip. You had that Marcus Smart behind the back pass to Tatum. Tatum slammed it home and it tied at 8-8. And then after that, it was just shit hit the fan. And we fell down by 10. And then we cut it down to 2 in the second quarter. And then that 2-point deficit went to 13. And that 13-point deficit went to 22. And it was just, one of those
You
games
could
we
tell they
we
just
can never
didn't.
grasp.
Yeah, you just tell they just didn't really want to be there. It's a game that
Right.
just looked so disinterested. They looked so disinterested in, and
Only reason
you know,
you see
yeah,
is the
it's just like they say they want the 1 seed and then they pull this. I'm going to trust them, right? If they aren't going to get the 1 seed, I'm going to trust that they believe that they could do this thing as the 2 seed. I do have a question though. Is the finals work off seeding or record? So like if we're the 2 seed and we play the Nuggets, but we have a better record, do we get home court or do they get home court?
good question.
I think they do. I think it's seeding. And then if it's tied seeding, I think is it conference record? I don't know what it is.
I know if it's tied, it's
has
record.
a better home record.
No, I know it's if it's 1 seed versus 1 seed, it's the team with the better overall record gets home court. I just don't know if like the Celtics, who will be the 2 seed, will probably have a better record than the Nuggets will be the 1 seed out west. So it's like would we get the I don't know, but that's something to think about. However, guys, the Celtics fall 130 to 111 on the road in Washington D.C. Tonight. Jayson Tatum was really the only Celtic who was, a spotlight, but he did notch the player spotlight tonight. The Celtics will face the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday, March 30th at 8 o'clock Eastern time. That is on TNT. Come right back here after the final buzzer sounds for Postgame Live. We'll all be here. It is... I'm sorry, there's an answer to our question. No, it goes by record.
Yeah, I
the
just
two-seeded
looked it up.
Raptors
Yeah.
had home court against the 1 seed. Okay, awesome. So it goes by record. That's nice. We'll be back here after the final buzzer sounds in Milwaukee for what hopefully is a Celtics dub. I'm Rob. Next to me is Justin. And to the right of me is my boy